Hello everyone. Today is chart synthesis day, and that's not official, but let's make it chart synthesis day for the process of what I'm about to talk about. Once a month I love to just explore a little bit some charts and see how we can start to string pieces together. And we've looked at the charts of Elvis Presley, we've looked at the chart of Amy Winehouse, amongst many others, but today we are going to look at the chart of Billy Connolly. Now, for those of you that don't know who Billy Connolly is, he is a very interesting Scotsman, and he is an amazing comedian, if you like that type of humour, which as a fellow Sagittarian, I do. He has done many live shows. He's made some incredible documentaries traveling across the world, talking to people from all walks of life and making that a really entertaining, wonderful series, amongst many other things. So let's explore Billy's chart a little bit. Now, as we look at Billy's chart, we could approach it, of course, in many different ways. And we could start by saying, well, Billy has a Sagittarian Sun. Now, I always love to say when I'm looking at a chart, why has this soul chosen this chart? Good question, right? Why has he chosen to be not only a Sagittarian Sun in the second house, but why has he chosen to have such an active second house? Because the second house is, of course, an earth house. It's a house of substance. And it's where we ask to have all the experiences around developing healthy relationships with the material world, making sure that our treasure chest that says my value systems is healthy and well cleaned out, and that we tap into our natural resources in maybe a way that we haven't done before. Now, these are just some of the jewels of the second house, but the second house, as the natural house of Taurus, is certainly all about creating stability and comfort in life. So we can see that many things that we could say about Billy's second house, but certainly this is an environment, this is a meadow that Billy wants to create in his life that is going to support his structures. The second house is where we are proving ourselves to ourselves and where we learn exactly about how lovable we really are. So already we start to have a strong theme that he's asked for a lot of lights to be lit up when it comes to expression of his second house. And that through the lens of Sagittarius in this lifetime, he needs to be the seeker and the quester, to let out the inner gypsy and find ways of developing higher consciousness and more meaning in life. Now, he's also a Sun-Venus individual. So for me, the identification of what is truly important to him in this lifetime and getting a much bigger picture on that and how that actually comes back through into how he grounds himself, how he does create safety and security in his life, and how he finds meaningful gypsy-like experiences when he can really learn and grow and understand the meaning of his existence. Pretty big questions, right? So we also see that Billy is a Gemini Moon. Now, not that far away from his moon is also the planet Saturn, in Greek mythology, Kronos. So he has a Saturn moon signature. Now we're going to see in just a moment how that Saturn is even more prominent in Billy's life and in his soul contract that he signed up for. But I guess if I was to say really simply, this whole axis of knowledge, Sagittarius and Gemini, is alive in Billy's chart. Now, it is also across two different polarities and, two different houses, obviously. The houses are very strong. And he has the sun in the second house and the moon up in the ninth house, even accentuating the Sagittarian flavour and effervescence even more. So just something for us to keep on the back burner as we start to continue to explore Billy's chart. Also, we find, as I said, Saturn joining forces in an alchemy of superpowers, Moon, Saturn energy. I guess I could hear his angels calling out to him as he got pushed off into this lifetime. Get real about your feelings, Billy. And I guess that emphasizes for me that, you know, in that soul contract that he signed up for, where all of these pieces are placed so strategically for the growth, but also for the freeing up of that ancient contract and what Billy has paid forward in this lifetime to release, to heal, and to grow. So all these things, just let me quickly highlight for you. We have a strong second house. We have the Sun and Venus conjunct. We have a Sagittarian signature, which is then highlighted by the Moon in Gemini in the 9th house. We have a need to get real about safety and security and belonging and family. And we have a very strong need to light up the stage of knowing his worth. So the pot is bubbling, I would say. Why does he have all these signatures? That brings me to asking for your attention for a moment to his South Node story. So, South Node in Aquarius, quirky, alternative, marginal, individual, freedom fighter, revolutionary, seen as being different. Now, all of these themes and many more I could continue to build on if we had more time today. But what I want to say is this is not just part of his prior personality and character, but this is very much part of the memory of what also may be his pain. That in what way was he so misunderstood as an individual, maybe so ahead of his time, so progressive, so wanting to push against the flow rather than go with it, that it tripped him up. Now, these are all possibilities, and they're all possibilities that may have drastically affected his sense of joy. 5th house South Node, his ability to fill his heart. Now, again, as I said, I'm definitely fast forwarding on this chart analysis, but I want to say, let's just for a moment jump across to the ruler of Billy's South Node. Now, depending on who you are, you may say that's Saturn, you may say that's Uranus, or if you're really smart, you want to consider both. Now, in Billy's chart, regardless of the orb, I'm going to say we find Saturn and Uranus together. So that now again is heightening and highlighting this personality, this character, and some of the pain and the shadow that's imprinted or impressed into his soul's DNA. That perhaps there are themes of separation, perhaps there are themes of control, perhaps there is a sense of disconnection, perhaps there are fears, perhaps there are inadequacies, perhaps there is a story around the father, perhaps there is a sense of rejection, perhaps there is a real need for this radical, unique soul to be able to shine that light into this lifetime. So there's double-edged swords here, that Billy's individuality in some way was stomped on, that his ability to feel safe and to get real about who he was knocked out of the park. Now, I'd love to say so much more about this, but I just want to make a little note further that these two signs, along with his moon, are in Gemini. So then I start to ask myself, if I could have Billy Connolly here, which would have been awesome, I wonder what role siblings played in this ancient soul story. Another little flag for us. Now, we also see that the 8th house, if we go down the line of Uranus being the ruler, which ultimately, regardless, it is, What traumas were experienced, and how was the soul of the family involved in Billy's family story in this lifetime? But what trauma and what heartache and crisis and pain around grief and loss, maybe of a sexual nature? I mean, there could be many roads that we would go down here, but in what way was he disempowered, and how did that leave a very strong mark on his ability to trust and feel safe in this lifetime? Now, healing potential. Let's jump across now to the North Node in Leo, which brings us right back to the Sun. Now, of course, there's a lot more we would talk about in this chart, but I'm just trying to show you the power of looking through the evolutionary lens at the chart and piecing together or joining the dots in relation to understanding why Billy has the chart that he has, based on that soul contract that he's healing in this lifetime. So we come to a Leo North Node, and a Leo North Node is all about the healing medicine, remedy and keys that Billy has access to unlock that cage in this lifetime and really find some incredibly powerful healing. And we know Chiron is there, so we know that the heart carries some pretty serious pain and vulnerability. But even just thinking about this Leo North Node, that creativity and self-expression are going to be a huge part of Billy's healing. End point, Leo energy, develop your personality, find your raw, your flamboyance, your colour, exude it with joy and be your authentic self and applaud yourself. Doesn't matter what anybody else feels or thinks. So part of Billy's life is to do exactly that. And in an eclectic way, we've got an 11th house North Node. So find your life direction on your terms in this lifetime. Sagittarius Sun, of course, is a big part of the key to that North Node, which brings us right back to the 2nd house. And Chiron, of course, there on the North Node, part of the medicine. So, you know, if we had medicine in a bottle right now and we were swigging it down from the herbalist or the doctor, Chiron is part of this prescription. Feel your pain. Work on your heart. And I will tell you, if you know much about Billy, and I'm putting, I think it's okay, the Wikipedia into the chat, so you can, if you wish, do a little of your own research. But I will tell you the story of Billy that I'm telling you. Billy had a big separation from his parents. His mother, big story. He never felt really abandoned by her, but certainly she left the home, left the kids, him and his sister, when he was about 4 years old. His father was off fighting. He was in the Navy, so he and his sister ended up almost like with his wicked aunties, because they were incredibly abusive. And he still to this day talks about the trauma that he experienced and the fear and the control and the physical abuse that he mentally and physically that he had to endure as a child. Here we have it all in this nodal contract, understanding why he needed to lift himself up in this lifetime on his terms. There's a big story around his father. Sexual abuse was part of his childhood story. Here we see all of that. And yet this man, you know, has absolutely, I believe, you know, healed so much in his life through finding love, through overcoming his addictions. And from what I believe, even though I know he has a few illnesses now, which he attributes to a lot of his childhood experiences, these traumas and life lessons have supported him to really allow the other flowers in this chart to blossom and open up. And I believe he's living, I can't remember right now where, but he took up painting. He's living a very peaceful life with the love of his life. And it's a really inspiring and incredible story. So if you want to know a little bit more, looking at Billy's chart, looking at the Wikipedia, seeing his life in motion as to how this chart has played out for him, please do. So I hope you found that interesting. I certainly think it's an incredible example of astrology in motion. And until I share the next chart with you next month, take care of yourselves and have a beautiful day. Bye for now.